You've probably already met Anthony Wiggins. He's going to teach us how to improve our cash flow.
Yeah,
Anthony.
thanks for coming out so early in the morning. Appreciate it. I know the other people weren't late because of the game last night. Patriots and the Jets. Oh, what a nightmare. They blew them out at 45-3. I'm Anthony Wiggins. I'm a cash flow consultant with Trans World Systems. I'm an MGMA administrative partner. That's the Medical Group Management Association. It's a national association. They only have 11 administrative partners, and we happen to be one of them. I'm an approved vendor with the Connecticut Heating Cooling Contractor Association and the Connecticut Hospital Association. Before we get started, what I wanted to do is just try to get a little bit better understanding of your knowledge of receivables. And what I did is, I know you didn't get the memo or anything, but actually the last page, there's a quiz. And there is going to be a prize for the top score. So it's very easy. It's true, false. Just trying to see where you guys at. If you don't know, you can still guess true, false all the way down. And what we'll do is, as we go through the presentation, we'll correct it with each different slide that I'm going through. And then I'll just look for your eyes to pop up your pen and stop moving.
Yes.
All set. The objectives of the presentation today is to develop internal strategies to effectively collect your money, help your staff learn what to say to customers, and also help you and know what to say to them in order to motivate them to pay, understand what options are available, and when and how to use those options. We're going to achieve these objectives by looking at collection challenges facing today's businesses, 4 reasons to collect your money, facts about collections, best practices to minimize collection problems, how to talk to customers, the options that I spoke about on the previous slide, maximizing third-party impact, what to look for in a third party, and then kind of go over some useful resources and the handouts that you have. Looking at collection challenges facing today's business, slow paying customers. I mean, we all know how the economy is, and that's like the #1 excuse for people paying you slowly. But it's the same customers that tell you that they don't have it right now, that you might see out there riding around in a new car, or you might hear about them going on vacation or doing some type of new home improvement. So it's not that people don't have money right now because of the economy. It might be that they're just not paying you because there's not any consequences for them not paying you. They're paying people by priority. Another challenge facing today's business is that businesses are understaffed. I mean, the economy, it is what it is. Some of us had to cut back, so we had to let some people go, but still getting the job done. So some of the business owners out there now, they might be a little bit scared to bring back new employees, so they're getting the job done on what they have. And then other businesses might be growing at a pace that's faster than you thought, and you just don't have the resources and the time to get your staff to where it needs to be. And one of the third challenges is trying to work all accounts systematically, including small balances. I don't know how many of you are actually handling receivables for your company, but I'm sure that's not the only thing that you do. So when you do get an opportunity to really attack it, when it gets kind of out of control, you probably go for the bigger balances because that's going to reduce the balances, the receivables faster. And then it's the small ones that kind of fall to the wayside. So that's a definite challenge. And then fourth challenge is just knowing the collection laws. Believe it or not, when you're handling your receivables, you guys are held accountable to the same laws that I am as a collection company. I don't know if you guys knew that. This I included in the presentation. It's called a hold harmless agreement. Basically what it does, it protects you from a lawsuit or anything if you're using a third party. I don't know if you've heard any of the horror stories of collection companies. They might harass a customer, then the customer turns around and sues them for harassment. There's a guy down in North Carolina, I think he won like 1.5 million.
There's a Texas one this year that went over $1 million.
Over $1 million? Yeah. So what happens in that case, not only can they go after that third party that did it, they can go after the company that actually hired them. So a hold harmless agreement, if you're ever dealing with a third party, just make sure they have that in place because that'll protect you in the long run. 4 reasons to collect. I mean, this is basic stuff, but I'll still go over it. Accounts depreciate and get harder to collect. I mean, the longer that you're holding an account in-house, the less likely that it's going to get paid. Complaints, they increase with time. You know, people just get more creative as time goes on and they owe you money, come up with more excuses not to pay you. And then future business stops because the customer, they'll just stop coming to your business. I mean, somebody's faced with a situation that they don't want to have anything to do with, they'll just go find a service or a product somewhere else. And then the other thing with the fourth one is it also gets stressful for the staff as well as the customer because these people, they see them not on a daily basis, but they see them a lot because they're coming into your business, and sometimes, you know, they tell stories, they talk about vacations, they get this personal relationship with that person. So when it comes to them owing you money, it can get very uncomfortable. So it's definitely better to collect that early in the process. Facts about collections. All right, this is where you want to get your pens ready. This is where we're going to attack a lot of the quiz right here. We go over these facts about collections. The first one, most businesses wait until an account is 180 days past due before they give it to an agency for collections. If you get it right, don't mark it. We're just going to mark the ones that are incorrect. It'll just be easier to count the total. So that's true, and most businesses, they wait that long for 2 reasons. Number one, they don't want to alienate their customers, and the second reason is that they don't want to pay that high percentage. They don't want to part with their money. I mean, you work hard to get the account, you provide the service or the product. Why pay a third party 30, 40, 50% of your money to help you collect it? So they try to hold that account in-house so they can get paid for what they provided. This right here is typical in-house collection efforts. You can just nod your head if you currently handle your receivables like this. You might send out a statement at day 30, and give them 30 days to pay, then send out another statement, maybe you send a letter or phone call, kind of repeating that process at 120 and 150 days. Company that operate in this manner, I refer to them as being addicted to hopium. They're just hoping that the next letter or the next phone call is going to get them paid. And as we all know, that doesn't really work that well. Question number 2 on the quiz was, according to the Dartnell Institute, the average cost of working an account internally over 6 months, it is $31.60 per account. So that's true. Another fact about collections, 90% of the collection budget is spent to collect 10% of past due accounts. So that is true. Everybody knows what I mean when I say that, right? 90% of the collection budget. So all of the money and all of the resources that you put into your receivables, once you cut that original statement, I mean, most people are going to pay you. So all your efforts that you're doing to follow up, that's really being followed up on 10% of your receivables. Delinquent accounts, they depreciate about 0.5% per day. On there, that's false. I put down 1%. Try to trick you a little bit. What that means for a business, I mean, 0.5%, you're kind of like, could be pennies. I mean, I don't know what your receivables look like, but if you just take $10,000, that's about $50 a day. To some, that's not a lot. To some, it is. But at the end of the month, if none of that money is collected, that's actually $1,500. That's uncollectible. This you already know, but everybody I meet, every business owner that I sit down with, I always tell them, start early, recover more. This chart was created by the U.S. Department of Commerce. It's a study of depreciation. So basically what it's showing you is the longer that you wait, which I talked about earlier, about 180 days, the less likely it is you're going to be paid. So most companies wait till about 6 months, and they get the typical collection agency involved at that point, or even later. And it's for those two reasons: alienating their customers and they don't want to pay the percentage. So with my company, we work with companies where you have a higher chance of collecting your money and it's less depreciated. And doing it that way, can't you guys see how you just net more money? If you had a third party working with your customers. I know a lot of people don't want to do that because of the alienation, but there are companies out there like mine that do it in a diplomatic way so that you can maintain that customer and still get your money. Another fact about collections, there are actually over 6,000 collection agencies working in the United States. So that answer was false. Put down 7,600. The FDCPA is the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. It was a law that was created to regulate third-party collection agencies, and it was enacted in 1977 with the help of the ACA, which is the American Collectors Association, and it's designed to help protect consumers from unfair and abusive collection practices. The reason that I put this in here is kind of reverting back to what I said earlier. You're held to the same laws as collection companies, so it's just good to be kind of familiar with those laws, and you can go and read about that with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. The average cost for a traditional agency is about 33%. You find some out there lower, you find some higher, but the average cost is about 33%. On the quiz, I think I put 23%, so that is actually false. How many people we got out there perfect so far? One? No? Okay. Another fact about collections, the average recovery rate for a collection agency is 11.8%. Once again, that's false, and you might find some agencies that are a little bit higher, some a little bit lower. That recovery rate is kind of low because, as I said before, companies wait forever and ever and ever to turn over the debt. So the longer you wait, the harder it is to recover. More facts about collections. The true cost of collections is the amount of money that is not recovered. Everybody get that right? The amount of money that's not recovered. Very simple, but I still included a little demonstration just to show it, because I'm a visual person. So if you look here, both companies, Smith and Jones, they had about $50,000 that was outstanding. The Smith company used an agency that had a 22% recovery rate, and the Jones company used an agency that had a 10.8% recovery rate. So 22% of the $50,000, they actually collected $11,000 for the Smith company, and the 10.8% of the $50,000, they collected $5,400. So when you look at Smith company agency, they actually got to keep $3,630 because they got 33%. And the same with Jones company, they got 33% of the $5,400, so they got $1,782. So when you look at that, I'll ask you, how much did the agency get paid? So how much did it cost that company to collect that money? You automatically think it is, for the Smith company, anybody could chime in, it's $3,630. But the actual true cost of collections is what?
Well, you didn't get.
Right, the 39,000. So basically, what I'm saying with this example is that not only does the Smith company have to get a better mousetrap, but the Jones company has to get a better mousetrap. And how do they get that? What do they have to do? They have to make some adjustments earlier in the process so that their receivables don't get outstanding to that point. So now what I want to do is actually show you how to start to build your mousetrap. Best practices to minimize collection problems. Have a defined credit and collection policy. The policy is going to give your staff something to rely on and have next to their side if they ever run into a situation. One of the good things about a policy that I recommend doing is not just to have it in place, but to review it with your customers before you even start doing business with them. That way, if you do run into a situation, we just always pull out that policy, say, look, we talked on day one before we started doing business. It's not personal, but it is what it is, and you agreed to these terms, and, you know, let's make some type of payment arrangement. What should be included in your policy? Just simple things, payment amount that's required, forms of payment, cash, credit card, check, when payment is expected to be paid, if you have any billing services, charges, rates, or any other things that apply. Make your monthly statements effective. Send the statements out promptly and regularly. If you have